What is up, team? Welcome back to the Red Storm Rap Reaction Podcast. I'm Pat Kane, and St. John's just beat the Temple Owls. Who? The Temple Owls, 78-72, in a game where I'm sure plenty of people thought it was curtains early on. We were down 13 points at the 7:30 mark in the first half, and there was plenty of people who probably thought the game was over too soon in the second half, and we had a 7-point lead with under 4 minutes left, and neither of those were really the truth of it. It was somewhere in between. We won it, we lost it. There was maybe a dozen or so games in between this one game we just saw, and we're lucky enough to come out on top. And I'm sure as hell not complaining about it. St. John's is due for all the luck in the world. But I'm not sure if it was luck that got this one. I think we gutted out a win, and I'm not sure we get this win last year. Andre Cabello, a new piece, an addition that wasn't on the team last year. He in particularly, especially, had 8 different games in this game, and maybe 6 of them were bad games, but the last one was a good one. He had a huge and one right when it looked like Temple might just sneak out with a win. Andre Cabello makes a drive from the top of the key, refuses the ball screen, goes hard left, finishes through the contact, makes the free throw, gets us back on top for a 1-point lead. Then he hits a layup on the ensuing possession to give us a 3-point lead, and we don't look back. Just a couple of huge plays after a really inconsistent game. Some good defensive plays, but for the most part in the second half, he had a bad second half, I thought. A lot of questionable decision-making, a lot of forced shots, but when it mattered most, he came up huge. So, you just got to tip your hat and buckle your seatbelts and get along for the ride. I think it's a bigger positive than anything. I think his positives outweigh his negatives. I think there will be some ups and downs, but I think we saw tonight his positives outweigh his negatives. Speaking of guys whose positives outweigh their negatives, and someone I wasn't sure would be the case, Montez Mathis, he's really making me eat my words. He played a fantastic game tonight. I think he was the MVP, maybe the unsung MVP, because he did it all behind the scenes. He was 7 of 10 from the field. He had 16 points. He played great defense. He had timely baskets. He was making great decisions out there. He's just so much under control. More so than last year, in my opinion. Not rushing shots, making great decisions out there. Huge free throws to close the game at the end of the game. And it was great to see him get that opportunity to come through with it. I know I've been one of his biggest detractors, perhaps haters, from the time he signed with St. John's. And last year, I came around on him, but even more so this year. I still have my doubts. And he has played absolutely unbelievable. Someone on Twitter, Anderson Avenue, said this year's Paris Horn, the version of Paris Horn when he was a senior, and I couldn't agree more. That was a great piece to that team. Someone who filled all the roles, did all the little things, was able to hit spot up threes, and Mathis has done that so far. He didn't even take one tonight, and that's totally fine. But a huge kudos to him and a big tip of the cap. Joel Soriano, another double-double. Guy's really, I'm the really guy, becoming a beast. 15 points, 12 rebounds, 7 of 10 from the field. Really good stretch out there. He was going up against a big guy. Reynolds is a big dude. Probably had Soriano by some pounds, and it was a battle. And Soriano came out on top. Stanley, as a substitute, gave him a couple good breathers. Really had a solid stretch of good play in the second half. I think he had 8 points. He was 4 for 4 from the field. Had a nice catch and finish. Had a nice block. Had another really nice block that was called a foul. But good minutes from him, good energy. He's getting more confident out there. He took a jumper from the short corner, and he's a guy who just seems to enjoy battling, coming in and doing the dirty work, and hopefully he just gets more and more comfortable and his game can expand from there. Cabello, 13 points, was only 4 for 14 from the field, did have 6 turnovers as well, 3 steals, 4 assists. So that 6 turnovers has got to come down, obviously. But the 3 steals, it's becoming a mainstay. He's a pest out there. The menace and the maestro, that's Posh and Cabello. And Posh, Cabello's partner back there, and a guy we know and love. It's almost sacrilegious to say anything negative about Posh, so I'll just leave it at it wasn't his best game, okay? And he'll be back for more. We got to win without it. Maybe this is a sign. He had 6 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. I'm off the subject. Anyway, we out-rebounded Temple 37-32. That was big in the second half. Again, first half, slow game, similar to the Nebraska game, pretty ugly. Shots weren't falling. We did not have three in the first half. It was 32-30. Once the 20-minute mark came, we were down 13 points prior to that. With 7 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first half, we stormed back. Our pressure got to Temple. We were able to get some baskets. We are a poor shooting team in the paint, it seems. We were last year. This year we have been struggling to finish around the basket. And I do agree that there's plenty of times where we don't seem to have a purpose on offense once the game slows down. Our offensive sets are not well designed or non-existent, and it is frustrating. But I will also say that if we made the appropriate amount of makeable baskets inside the paint, then we wouldn't notice those droughts as much. And our game plan, not that I agree with it, is to get up and down and to not even allow a team to set their defense. And if you're running plays, then you're most likely doing it against a set defense. So our game plan is to get baskets before the defense has a set position. I don't agree with it. Wouldn't be my style. That seems what he's going. It seems to be what Coach Anderson goes with. I do think you can win going that way. Again, wouldn't be my way. But if we were to make the appropriate amount of shots the team should make around the basket, we wouldn't look as bad in those stretches. And it seems to be, I'm not sure if it's a focus thing or just whatever the case may be, in the second half of these games, we've been converting a lot more of those baskets. Hopefully we just become a first half team and we don't lose our second half touch with that, because this is a nice little change of pace to see a team succeed in the second half. And so far we're 5 for 5. Almost every single game has played out where we haven't looked great in the first half and we've played it much better in the second. Some negatives, I'd say, out of timeouts. Early in the first half, we came out of a timeout, or not early in the first half, but the one timeout we took in the first half, we came out, and after the timeout, we had a shot clock violation with 12 seconds left after the timeout. What are we talking about in the timeout, if not for how much time's left on the possession? That can't happen. You got to be better there. And then that out of bounds play in the second half out of a timeout on the sideline almost really cost us. Curbelo, we might have got to Posh. Yeah, Posh might have got bumped, especially after that previous play where the Temple player tripped on his own foot. They called on Posh. Then we're on the sidelines there. He gets cramped up against the sideline. A little bit of a tough pass, a little bit of a tough spot. We got to have a better play drawn up there. We took it for granted. They were just going to let us pass the ball in. Got to have something drawn up to get the ball in. It's very important, and Coach Anderson should know we've lost games because of it in the past. And overall, timeout usage, I think Coach's philosophy is, why would I mess with the tempo if our advantage is to play at a higher pace and to not have stops, because our depth and our athleticism is going to be the added advantage towards the end of the game. So why would I go out of my way to call timeouts to give the other team a breath? And maybe there's some merit to that, but there's times where I do believe he is late to the whistle to call a timeout. In situations where it's going to be a dead ball at some point anyway. Why wait? Why wait to maybe see what happens in the possession when we already slowed down? Let's call a timeout, get ourselves set, make sure we get a good look. But hey, that's just me. And Coach Anderson, tip your cap to him. 70-72, nice win. You can't only get on the coach so much in wins, all right? And you can only get on the coach so much in general. These guys know what they're doing, and you can pick apart a game any which direction for the most part, and you just got to live with how it falls sometimes. First half, I thought the defense overall was good. They did hit 4 threes, but you limit a team to 30 points, there's some good and some bad there. And in the second half, down the stretch, I thought we played really good defensively. Posh, that one breakdown late, maybe I'll take that back. There were some stretches, a couple stretches in the interior where Reynolds asserted himself. We had to make a couple corrections to make it more difficult for him to get the ball inside, but he had 4 straight possessions where he scored, I thought. And then that 3 in the corner where they took a lead. We were in zone for possession, and Jones was on the sideline by himself with 2 men on that side for over a second. No one was rushing over there. They showed in the replay Curbelo pointing, go, 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 and Jones, Soriano was the closest guy there, and he just didn't get there in time. And a 3-point shot in that situation is what really kills you. You're up 2 late in the game, and a corner 3 from a guy who can shoot. You hate to see it. And you got to tighten things up there. That was a big breakdown. And otherwise, pretty solid defensive stretch down the end of defensive performance down the end of the stretch, I thought. Jones had another good second half, 14 points, 6 for 15, 4 steals. He's active defensively, maybe too active in the first half, early part of the game, picking up cheap fouls. We do have a tendency to reach. We do have a tendency to get ourselves in foul trouble. Hopefully that doesn't bite us, throughout the season. But, we're 5-0. We've got a quality win over a Temple team on a neutral court. We, really took it to Nebraska in the second half, beat them by 20 points. We have a chance to beat Syracuse. No matter how good Syracuse is, and I have my questions about how good they are, it's Syracuse. All right, it's a game you got to get up for. A game beating them means something. I wish it was at the Garden, but hell, we'll take him at Barclays Center. Now, I do, for personal reasons, I am a big fan of Joe Girard, and I've never been a fan of anybody on Syracuse in the past, but I got a soft spot for that kid for personal reasons, and I will say I think we are a terrible matchup for him in a good way for St. John's. I'm a big fan. I think he's struggled a bit at Syracuse. Fans get on him, and maybe rightfully so. He's had his rough patches, but he can shoot it if we don't get out and cover him on the three-point line. He's one guy who St. John's fans have seen in the past, I'm sure, in their dreams, an opposing player, or their nightmare, an opposing player going off for 3 after 3 after 3. And how is he getting open time and time again? Well, that could happen tomorrow with Joe Girard. So game plan has got to be to stop him. I think Posh, it's a matchup. Him and Curbelo should, have their, licking their chops over defensively. Joe's not the fastest kid, but he's savvy and he's smart and he'll look to draw fouls. If we can, have him shoot a poor percentage from the field and not let him go off from 3, then I really like our chances. If he gets hot, then they're a tough team to win, a tough team to beat. I'm interested to see how we do against the zone. We're not a team who has shown the ability to really light it up from 3. We've had a decent percentage in a few games, but against this zone from Syracuse, you got to have some guys who can light it up from deep and who are not afraid to put it up with some hands up for decent closeout. So hopefully we're able to find some gaps, maybe get Curbelo in there at the free throw line to make some plays against the zone. Hopefully Jones is on a little bit in the first half. He's been a second half player so far, similar to our whole team, but I'm excited. It's a late night again tomorrow, 9:30 tip. ESPN 2, no ESPNU for us. We're moving on up. Maybe we'll even get an ESPN game, one of these years. Who cares, though? We'll take Fox Sports. But, guys, for Lamont Hamilton, shout out in honor of, Joel, who was our best center since Lamont Hamilton. For Lamont Hamilton, this has been Pat Kane. Thank you for tuning into the Red Storm Rapid Reaction Podcast. Please tune in. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please keep listening on iTunes and Spotify. Until tomorrow night. Peace.